Word uncomfortable. Are you for or against it?
Well, I would have voted against had I been in a position to vote, as indeed would my party.
All right. Justine Greening.
I think it's fantastic that people of the same sex have got the choice to get married now if they want to. I don't see why their relationship should be any less than anyone else's. And I think if people want to make a commitment to one another, I think that's a fantastic, amazing thing, and they should be allowed to get on and do it. And I never thought I'd say this, but I totally agree with Diane Abbott.
And why did we have to go through the whole rigmarole of civil partnership, then, if you believe in marriage? Why didn't we go straight to marriage? Why did we start with civil partnership?
I suppose when we look back over it, it will have been seen as an important step on the way to really getting true equality. But I think that we did the right thing putting the bill to Parliament. Parliament voted for it, and I'm really delighted that over the course of the next few days, the first same-sex marriages are going to be taking place. Okay. I think it's fantastic. I've been invited one myself. Simon,
I'll come to you in a moment, but let's just have one or two other members of the audience. Person there, on the left. Yes, you, sir.
I came out 30 years ago, and I am so proud to be a British person who is able to celebrate equal marriage, because I think it's a wonderful achievement, and I'm proud to be British. I think it's amazing. It's well overdue, but I'm very proud.
Okay. And yes, you on the right there.
Love. Oh, which one?
Either of you. No, you on the right, and then I come to you.
Love has no gender, colour or creed, and I think for you to think about religion when it comes to love is wrong, because love is not religion, and it's not wrong to love someone. It's wrong to allow the Catholic Church to allow people to be abused and not be reprimanded about it. That is wrong. To love someone, that is not wrong. There are people that are murdered because they are gay across the world, and I think we should embrace the love and be happy that people can embrace each other and be free to do so.
Okay. Simon.
I think there's very little to add to what the vast majority of people on the panel have already said. Other than that, to the lady in the audience who said that no one owns marriage, well, the word marriage, well, nor does government, nor do any of us own the word marriage. And if people love each other, it makes complete sense to allow them to use the word that we have all had the privilege of using for many, many years. It just does not make sense. This is a non-issue in this century.
Okay. Just before we leave it, Marilyn Balmer put the question and said she wasn't in favour of gay marriage. Does anybody else in the audience support what Marilyn said who'd like to say? Yes. You.
Yes, we've heard a lot of talk about love, but marriage is not primarily about love, it's part of it. Marriage is about a child-centric institution. And what do you say when we have had the Coalition for Marriage have garnered over 660,000 signatures of people saying, we are really uncomfortable with this, we don't want this to come in, and the government has completely ignored a huge swathe of the population. Marriage is about children. That is the main purpose. Why do people want the state? If two people want to get together and we've got civil partnerships, why do you need the state to mandate your relationship?
Civil partnership? Why do you need marriage?
Why do you need the state to mandate your relationship?
Fertile couples'
Right,
marriages
hold on.
don't matter then.
Answer the person sitting next to you, because she made a point.
Why can't it be marriage? Why do we have to have something different? If you accept gay people in this country, then why can't you accept us being married? Why can't you accept that? It's not, when you get married to someone, you're not thinking about children, you're thinking about, I'm making a vow to this person for the rest of my life. I want the whole world to know that I love you and I'm sticking by you. That's what it's about. It's not about children. It's not.
When you look, and I think Roger Helmer is quite right here, actually. When you look, particularly at the legal implications of this, it certainly isn't set in stone that there aren't going to be legal challenges. I know that the Church of England is particularly worried. There are certain gay couples who are saying, I haven't got what I want yet, I'm going to challenge the Church of England, and I think we're going to end up seeing disestablishment. Now, if you're going to argue for disestablishment, that's one thing, but you should argue for disestablishment on its own merits,
right.
not sort of as a
Can I
side
ask you one
consequence.
question? Do you approve of gay couples adopting children, having children? Or not, from what you say? I'm not sure.
I think when it comes to the issue of children, obviously, I'm not saying that gay couples can't be good parents and can't be good and loving parents. No, but actually, I think there is something very wrong about gay couples having children to order, because where you've got a child, you've got a biological mother and you've got a biological father.
Let her speak.
Okay, so when you've got a child, you've got a biological mother and you've got a biological father somewhere. Now, when you have a gay couple, they are deliberately excluding one of the child's parents, and every single child has a right to a relationship with its biological mother and its biological father.
All right, and take one more point from you, because you're saying no, 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 and just...
I know families where there are two gay people and the parent, the father, is involved as well in the upbringing of the child. And can I say that I've been with my partner for 32 years and I'm a member of the Church of England, and I bitterly regret that the Church of England is not accepting gay marriage. You have a definition of marriage that has been come over the centuries, but when it first started as marriage, it was a very different thing from what we talk about marriage as now. And I do not believe that God frowns on my love for my partner. I believe God is happy with
Okay. We've got time for one more question, I think. Bruce Byrne, please.
With the general election just over a year away, was the recent budget a turning point in the fortunes of the Conservative Party?
Was the budget a turning point in the fortunes of the Conservative Party? Diane Abbott, there was a lot of criticism of Labour's response and there was a lot of praise for the Chancellor, and the opinion polls showed Conservative and Labour closer rather than further apart after the budget. Is it a turning point in the fortunes of the Conservatives?
Well, there's no doubt it's politically a very clever budget. You've got David Cameron with this business about people being able to cash out their pension pots. It's David Cameron bribing people with their own money, which is always clever. In the short term, they've got to bounce out of it, but I don't think it's a turning point in their fortunes. If people really think about the past 4 years and what this coalition government has done, whether it's scrapping the education maintenance allowance, whether it's the cuts on disabled people and other benefits, if people really think about this coalition government, I think there's no question about what's going to happen on the general election day 2015.
And are you a supporter of the way Ed Miliband is preparing for this election, or are you one of those Labour members who are rather critical of the way things are going at the moment?
I am 101% supporter of Ed Miliband, and I have...
Well, there's one.
And I'm confident that when he comes to make decisions about the programme we're going into the general election with, they will be bold decisions, not nonsense about...
But how can you say that when last night, was it, you rebelled against the decision that he had made to support the Tories on the cap on welfare, and there you are, out on your own, rebel Diane Abbott once again.
I'm 101% supporter of Ed Miliband.
Except when it comes to something you don't like.
But just occasionally, whether it's Syria or whether it's the welfare cap, I like to give him a nudge in the right direction.
OK. Now, Mick Hucknall, quite seriously, you've been a long-term Labour supporter. You've funded the Labour Party. Are you still a supporter of Labour? Are you a supporter of Ed Miliband?
Well, we're in a very interesting scenario here because Diane mentioned the Blair administration earlier. The Blair administration won 3 elections with a massive majority, and that's because New Labour grabbed the centre ground. Now, Ed Miliband has a problem here now because the coalition effectively has grabbed that centre ground. And you look at the polls now, where they're virtually neck and neck. If I were Ed Miliband, I'd be very worried at this stage, in the lifetime of a government, that the opposition can only just manage neck and neck. But I see Ed Miliband's problem in a way, because he must be perhaps thinking that, well, I can't go to the middle ground because the coalition have got the middle ground. I can't go to the right of the coalition, clearly, because I'm Labour. So where do I go? So I can see that it would be natural for him to have to veer towards the left. But then the problem comes whether or not a left-wing Labour Party would ever gain a majority to get into government.
No, I've got news for you.
Excuse me,
I've got
darling.
news for you, Mick. He is not veering to the left. If he was, I'd be the first one to...
You're not listening. He said he could veer to the left. He didn't say he was veering.
I didn't say he was. I'm just trying to imagine...
What will you say? You'll be the first to support him if he were. Is that what you were going to say? It was what you were going to say. All right, Mick, go on.
I'm just trying to imagine his scenarios, because if I was to look at the polls now, I'd be thinking, this is not very good right now. What am I going to do? I wouldn't be at all surprised that towards the end, as we come closer to the election, that he might start to try and grab some of the centre ground back. And Ed Labour may well end up sort of morphing into more New Labour all over again. You can't deny the success of those 3 election victories.
Okay. Roger Helmer.
Well, indeed, it was a very clever budget. I agree with Diane. It was a politically astute budget. But bear in mind, this coalition was created in order to resolve the problem of the debt, and they said that at least they would get rid of the deficit by the end of the Parliament. I believe the deficit next year is anticipated to be around £100 billion. And people get confused between debt and deficit. Deficit means the rate of increase of the debt. So when we say the deficit next year will be £100 billion, that means the British national debt will increase. It's like your credit card. It's the amount you add to the credit card in the course of a year. But I'm very interested by this discussion of where Labour is going, because Labour is ceasing to be the party of working people as it used to be, and it is becoming the party of, to a large extent, the public sector, of a sort of metropolitan do-gooder leftist elite, and it is losing the traditional working class vote. And I tell you where that traditional working class vote is going. I campaigned in Rotherham, I knocked on doors, I talked to Labour voters, and I tell you what, they're coming to us. And when we have, in my dreams and on election day, that is what is happening. More than half of our support doesn't come from former Conservatives. It comes from, in some cases, Labour, even some Lib Dems, and especially from people who haven't voted for 10 or 20 years and suddenly see something that makes sense that they want to vote for.
Justine Green.
I think people can see through the budget that we are working to a long-term economic plan. That's meaning that the deficit is starting to come down steadily. It means that unemployment is coming down. Employment is going up by 1.3 million jobs. That's 1.3 million people who've now got a pay packet coming in at the end of every week, every month, financial security. They're seeing us invest in skills in our schools. They're seeing us taking the steps wherever we can to keep taxes low. And I think people are starting to see that we have this long-term economic plan, but by contrast, Labour don't have anything. And actually, they don't know what Labour stands for. They do think Ed Miliband's weak. They think he's politically opportunistic.
Oh,
and as a
George
result,
Osborne
4 years into the Parliament,